Good night, love.
Hi, honey. You need to take your medication right now. You cannot miss your schedule. Also, yesterday I saw that the medication was running low. So before I came from work, I stopped by a pharmacy to get your medication.
Yes, I did take my medication today. Also, yeah, if you wouldn't have seen them, the pills would have been out by now. Thanks.
You know I always got your back. By the way,
The doctor said you are not allowed to be in possession of a firearm whatsoever.
Roblox. Okay, I wrote an introduction, but there's no need. We all know what this is. The one thing you do need to know is there is a lot of games. 40 million to be exact. You know it, I know it. There's a lot of garbage in that 40 million. But for every like 100 versions of PS1 era fucking convenience store fucking type games, you get one, there is no escape. And I'm going to be honest, this was a good game. I had a great time playing it. Alright, I'm gonna stop glazing now, but let's get into it.
Okay, come on guys, stop making the kid cry.
I will fucking chop your head off!
Clicking on its front page, we can see that the game was originally released in January by developer Janus V2. Scrolling down a little bit, we get a basic summary of the game. That's pretty much all the info we can get, so we might as well start the game. The game starts off with a conversation between Jim and his wife Jane. After that, Jim wakes up and decides he needs to use the restroom. But while exploring his room, we find a flashlight. And more importantly, on his desk there is a letter. A letter from what looks like his doctor.
patient, Jim Burke. Age, 47. Diagnosis, schizophrenia, dementia, and depression. Medication, Fluxonti, 1 pill daily, 10 milligrams. Rispersone, 2 pills daily, 10 milligrams each. Restrictions, for your safety and well-being, we advise against the possession of firearms. Date of invoice, June 12th, 2003.
As we leave Jim's room, we notice some rats. And after looking around at our kitchen, we really only have two options, left or right. Going left first, we quickly figured out what attracted the rats. A single plate and an empty water bottle somehow. But next to the couch, we see an old rotary phone. It gives us the option to call our wife.
The number you dialed is not a working number. Please check the number and dial again. El número que marcó no está en servicio.
She ain't picking up. Further down the hallway, we start seeing some more post-it notes, and something I can only describe as Slender Man writing on the wall. But at the end of the hallway, we see a hammer on the floor, and with that, we get a new objective. Our only real option now is to go back and try the other hallway. Heading back and choosing the second hallway this time, we get a minor jump scare. And I'm just gonna say this, our delusions are gonna get a lot worse. In looking to our right, we see that our front door has been barricaded, but our main goal right now is to find out how to stop these rats. Eventually, we find what we're looking for, which is a small wooden plank. However, there's also a journal next to it, but the title is too faded to read. Given nothing else to do, our only option is to seal up the hole. And finally, we can use the bathroom, which is the main reason we're doing all of this. And we have officially left the realm of reality. And now, since the door behind us has closed, there's no way we're going back. After walking for what feels like forever, we come across a gun. But this is just for self-defense, so we'll be fine. Yeah, we're sure. Walking even further, we find flowers. Interacting with them, Jim says this.
These flowers were from my wedding. How are they here?
Now you might be asking, where are we? But it seems that now Jim is having a flashback, seemingly for his wedding, which it looks like he holds very close to his heart, and can even still remember how those flowers smelled that day.
This day meant a lot to me. I can still remember how these flowers smelled like to this day.
But just as fast as we got there, we're back in the endless hallway. Nowhere left to go, we keep walking. For some apparent reason, Jim asks hello. And surprisingly, somebody responds.
Who are you, and why do you sound so familiar?
I am not real.
What are you talking about? You were talking to me.
Old sun cats unknown. A twist of destiny I think lost home. Shattered plastic wars of despair. Life's leaders fail in a metal lair. Navigate the wreckage and ravel the unknown.
Is this some kind of sick puzzle? Answer me.
Not being able to make any sense of that conversation, we see scattered photos on the floor and a note on the bed. I know this might be kind of hard to keep up with, but don't worry, I had the same reaction on my first time playing. Trust me, you're not alone. After continually walking down the hallway, we come across a car wreck, which is not surprising at all at this point. Examining the car, we can see that there's blood inside, and the license plate reads JNE 8753. And after everything, we finally reached the end of the tunnel.
I must protect myself. I must find an escape.
What the hell just happened? That's what you thought. That's what I thought. And for good reason. There are so many unanswered questions about what the hell just went down. But I'm not gonna lie. That confusion is what exactly pulled me back in. I had to know. I went back digging through everything, trying to piece together anything that could explain what's really going on. And the more I looked, the more I started to realize just what Jim doesn't want you to know. You see, when I went back looking for answers, two main theories formed in my head. And no, it's not just because he's schizophrenic, because that's boring. There's way more going into it than that. So here's what I got. I'm calling one the Jane theory and the other the Jim theory. Alright, we're gonna start with the Jane theory. Right from the very beginning of the game, we established a couple key things. One, Jane is clearly Jim's wife. And two, she has to constantly keep reminding him to take his medication. That medication being for depression, dementia, and schizophrenia. Now, it's also pretty clear that Jim relies on Jane a lot. We see this through his actions, getting paranoid about where she is and why she has yet to come home, all while constantly searching for her. And from the texts we get, Jane also definitely cares about him. She has stuck with him from what seems like years of decline, comparing medical documents and instant messages. For at least 3 years, she's been by his side. So that raises the pretty big question, where is she? While the game never really gives us a full clear answer, it does in fact try to point us in a certain direction. For one, the front door is completely boarded up. That alone suggests Jane hasn't visited him in a very, very long time. And the last thing Jim remembers is that she's supposed to be coming home from work, but she never does. So the next real clue we have about where Jane could be comes from the endless tunnel. Do you remember when we came across that car wreck? I know that doesn't immediately mean that's Jane's car. Now, there are a few key things that point to Jane being the owner of this car. First, one of the old photos we find on the floor shows Jane standing next to a car. The game even tells us this is her car. Already suspicious. But if that wasn't damning enough, the license plate on the car reads JNE 8753. JNE is pretty clear it's supposed to be short for Jane. I haven't been able to find out what the 8753 means, but it still stands. This is supposed to be Jane's car. So if Jane really didn't come home due to this car crash, suddenly the rest of the game starts to make sense. With no one left to check in on Jim, his conditions only get worse. And while he can't comprehend Jane's not home and reality slips further away from Jim, he sees only one way out. I think Jim killed himself. Not just by, you know, what happened, but by orchestrating his own death without even him fully realizing it. I know that sounds strange, but hear me out. Throughout the game, we see tons of post-it notes scattered around the house. However, they're usually delegated to small things. Stuff like reminders that he saw Jane, or even just where the bathroom is. But one thing is clear, Jim is the one writing these notes. You can still even see his pen on the floor. But why does any of this matter? Give me one more minute and I'm gonna blow your mind. I don't think it's actually gonna blow your mind, but it's gonna explain it. One of the strangest notes we find in the game is in the endless hallway. It literally just tells Jim he needs to shoot his gun. But what's strange about this, not just it telling him he needs to pull the trigger, but we find this note before there even is a gun. So if Jim is the one writing these notes, why is he telling himself to shoot the gun? And I had no goddamn answer. Of course, you can just say he's like schizophrenic, but it just felt like there was something more. But then I remembered the note on the bed.
I can't take this anymore. I hate my life. I can't stand it anymore. All I do is sleep all day and do nothing else. Why is she not coming home? Why is my life like this? I didn't deserve this, Lord. I didn't deserve dementia, schizophrenia, and depression. I hate you. I do have a plan, though it is hard to get myself to do it. If you receive this, you already know if I did it or not. Thank you for everything.
I'm not gonna lie, at the time, I didn't think anything of it. More than it just being like a super sad goodbye letter. Which, to be fair, it is. But Jim mentions something in that letter. He does, in fact, have some type of plan, but doesn't know if he has the strength to pull it off. He knows it needs to be done, and he ends it by saying, if you're reading this, you already know whether I did it or not. And then another realization hit me. Jim doesn't even remember writing any of these notes. Not the ones on the walls, not the ones on the doors, and he doesn't even remember boarding up his own front door. It's clear he's suffering through immense periods of amnesia, where he completely disconnects from reality. And here's what I think happened. Jim couldn't bring himself to do what we saw at the end of the game, at least while he was fully aware of what was happening. In a way, he used his own memory loss as a tool. He created a breadcrumb trail that would lead him to the end, without fully realizing just what he was walking into. And it does feel kind of weird making a theory this heavy. It's kind of sad, even though it's just a Roblox game, but oh man, there are so many ways to interpret this story, and I acknowledge my theory is a little out there, to be honest. But even with all this theorizing, there's still so much left unanswered. Like, what does the clock mean? Was there even really a Jane? Or was that like some part of Jim's fractured memory? How did the gun get there in the first place? There's no answers for any of these, by the way. Also, there is a whole other ending to the game that we haven't even talked about. If you never picked up the gun in the endless hallway, Jim has a complete mental breakdown. The screen blacks out and you wake up in a mental facility. But that's not even it. Jim claims he's not Jim at all and insists his name is actually Jimmy. And Jim was never a real person, only someone that he imagined. Also, he says his life with Jane wasn't real either. And it's revealed to the camera that that book we couldn't read is actually titled Jimmy's Diary. So the question becomes, is this the truth? Has Jim been Jimmy all along? Or is it just Jim further losing his grip on reality? We have no idea. We don't know what's real, what's imagined, or if Jim or Jimmy even had control in the first place. It's just insane to me that a Roblox game that really only has like 20 minutes of gameplay could have such a profound effect on me and also give way to so many theories. Alright, that's enough like dementia gameplay for me, so I'm gonna call it here. But I had a great time. It was fun. I don't know exactly what my next video is gonna be, but it's gonna be something. Alright, goodbye.